Hello, y'all. It is October 25th, 2019, and we're here with another video. So, I hate to say it's so monotone like that, but he- somebody that I actually have much respect for actually campaigned for in 2016, and she won in North Carolina in my district. Um, During the 2016 election. Unfortunately, she did not win the overall state of North Carolina, but it was due to people like me on the ground front, going door to door, actually switching Republicans to Democrats, independents. From Bernie Sanders over to Hillary Clinton, we put in a lot of work in Fayetteville during the 2016 election. Now, for the third time, at first you don't succeed. Baby, gotta try again. Baby, gotta try again. Honey, First Lady. First Lady, the Senator, the State, the Secretary of State, any other titles, like she done been about several things. She's done been First Lady 2 times over. First Lady of the state of Arkansas. Then she's been the Senator of New York, I believe. And then she was the Secretary of State, and then, of course, the First Lady of the United States, and presidential nominee for both 2008, 2016. Now she's trying to possibly go for it a third time for the 2020 election. So none other than Hillary Clinton. Now, would I be as quick to put my support towards Hillary Clinton for a third time? Mm, Not likely. Not with the current people in play. Now, unlike the last time where she was going up against Trump, and when she was going up, and then there wasn't nobody else in there that could. I mean, because Bernie Sanders was a flat out no. For y'all that keeps darn on saying y'all would have chose Bernie over Hillary, I don't understand that. Cause I done broke down that 1994 crime bill. I done debunked all the stereotypes with that y'all keep blaming Hillary Clinton for that crime bill. Yet darn on Bernie Sanders was the senator that led that crime bill, and Joe Biden, who's the current front runner right now, was the author of said crime bill. And y'all just finally mentioning that in 2020, but I brought that shit to light along with a couple other people back in 2016. So yeah, when it came to them, I would definitely put Hillary Clinton in the forefront. But when it comes to players in the game such as Andrew Yang, when it comes to Marianne Williamson, even with other people like Pete Buttigieg, I don't know. It's like Hillary, Elizabeth Warren. It's like, girl, I don't know how you would fare up against all that this to go round, honey. I don't know how because you got to come out swinging, honey. So I'm here to present, if she do jump in, it would very behoove her for somebody on her team to go ahead and give her this video, because if she want to even have a chance of just coming in, and not because you just can't go on the name recognition this go round. Because now you got Joe Biden up in the game. You got Bernie Sanders with the massive momentum. Like, that motherfucker done had a heart attack and he's still out here running. And then you got Elizabeth Warren, a plan for everything, but that Medicaid, honey. She keep flip flopping along with Bernie on this Medicaid for all. Ain't never one of them explain how they gonna get that shit through yet. They can't even get to the darn on specifics of that, honey. You got UBI with Andrew Yang. You got reparations with Marianne Williamson. Now, what is you gonna come through with Hillary Clinton that's gonna compete with all that? So here's my thoughts. If darn on Hillary Clinton have any chance of darn on coming up and through here and darn on knocking everybody out, she has to go off of more than name recognition. Off the bat, she would have to propose $12 minimum wage. $12 minimum wage. She is the candidate that has always been consistent for decades for teachers. So she can actually add on to Bernie Sanders $60,000 a year and raise it $6,000 and say every K-12 teacher needs to have a minimum of $66,000. because she is the candidate that has been the most successful overall, alongside with Michelle Obama. But Hillary Clinton is definitely up there more in the teachers category overall. So she could definitely win the teachers vote if pushing for, minimum wage for teachers to be $66,000. Another thing is, and we need to end wage differential. Like, okay, if tips should be an added thing. It should not be a requirement for people living. Like, so we need to completely abolish the hostess minimum wage. The wage differential, they have still been corrupt ways that restaurants have been able to find their ways around that. So we need to get rid of the wage differential and the tippers wage altogether, and everybody needs to be paid a minimum wage, which is $12 an hour. A tip should be added to what you're already making. It shouldn't be your sole source of income, because in the struggling economy that everybody's in, you cannot live off tips alone. Your tips are only making you equivalent to making $7 to $8 an hour. That is just not enough for nobody in America today. And you wonder why so many people are on food stamps and other forms of government assistance. And y'all want to complain when it's black and brown skinned people on government assistance, but the majority of people on government assistance is white people. So if we want to help everybody get up off government assistance, black, brown, and white, so we don't have to worry about when cuts are coming down from like people like Trump giving food boxes and stuff out that's loaded with contaminated chemicals that contributes to some of these health problems where we having to deal with the debate of universal health care in the first place. Why don't we put people in a more of a economical situation of a higher minimum wage where they're able to get the good quality foods that they deserve, and thus reduce their chances of developing diseases from all these packaged foods and stuff that contains high fructose corn syrups, that contains artificial colors, and all of that disrupts our body's immune systems and contributes to some of these autoimmune diseases, these chronic debilitating diseases, and the list of diseases go on and on. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And you can add on to Marianne Williamson's point about, instead of tackling universal health care, you need to tackle the source of what's causing these illnesses in the first place. Make it where the FDA and other organizations have stricter regulations. There needs to be a complete overhaul and a revamp of these organizations to be in full compliance. Also, in regards to schools, we need to go a step further and assure more healthier food options are pushed in school. I was first against this when Michelle Obama proposed it, but now going through the complete holistic lifestyle change that I've been going through over the years, I can see why there shouldn't even be options of foods that contain high fructose corn syrup and artificial colors in our school system. Now, if you want to be grown and decide to consume snacks and stuff that contains that, that's okay, but it should not be a choice within our school system. Your body should not automatically be subject to be fucked up, and you are at a higher probability of contracting these types of diseases as as a result of these consumption of foods in our own school systems. So not only should the teachers be paid, but there should be a more heartier darn selection of snacks. I mean, with all the veggie chips and stuff out that taste just as good without all the loaded chemicals and stuff, we need to push that more in the schools instead of the Doritos and the Mountain Dews and the Cokes and the Dr. Pepper products and all of that. That's another thing she needs to push on in that regard, and that will separate her. Notice that I'm proposing stuff that are similar to what other people are saying, but are completely different and tailored towards Hillary Clinton, because she needs to come out with a whole lot of unique things that will push her and make her worthy of being the candidate. Like, what is you going to do that is going to be substantially different than everybody else? Like, it can be similar, but you need to have your own unique plans coming in. You can't just, say a little bit here, a little bit there from this candidate, and I'm just going to be the front runner off my face. No, you need to show the people, especially since people don't look at you too favorably. There's a lot of people that don't look at you favorably. And then now here comes the black community. What is you going to pursue? Because people still, and like I said, it was wrong that they put the crime bill on you. They put the crime bill on you more than they do your husband. They put that crime bill on you more than they do Joe Biden. They put that crime bill on you more than Bernie Sanders. However, they still associate that crime bill sadly with you. They threw it off on the woman, which shows the misogyny in this darn on situation. So you need to point that shit out, the double standards. Don't be afraid to darn gonna throw that back at Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden when it comes to the crime bill. That's your darn gonna um, attack on them to get them out. And then from there, what else can she do? She already, now I don't agree with her attacks on Tulsi Gabbard. Like now, see, that's why I said that might be problematic for her. It's like, come on now. Not everybody can be a Russian asset in the body. Like, and then Tulsi Gabbard, of all people, the one person that's actually served the country, the one person that's actually put their lives on the darn on line for everybody. Nobody else can say that they've actually served the darn on country. So she knows about darn on how pointless it is for people to be sent to other countries darn on attacking brown skinned people. And then it's a lot of classified shit that I'm sure Tulsi Gabbard has become aware of, because my godfather used to be a World War II veteran, and there's a lot of classified shit that the government would not want the average day people to know. And I think Tulsi Gabbard is aware of some of those things as well. So when she speaks about how we shouldn't be over in certain places, she's speaking from actual personal experience, something that y'all don't know. So instead of making personal attacks on Tulsi Gabbard, you need to redirect that shit towards Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Now you're going to really have the hardest time with Elizabeth Warren. That's where you're going to really darn gonna have your issues with, is with Elizabeth Warren, honey. But I think what will separate you with Elizabeth Warren is the $12 minimum wage. Also, if you adopt my marginal tax plan, which I will leave that video down below. Matter of fact, I'm going to update it, so I will leave it. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and update my marginal tax plan. I found one that's better, so that will be already updated by the time this video is already uploaded, and I will timestamp when I updated my marginal tax plan. So the tax plan in the description box is going to sound different than what I said in the video, because I'm going to timestamp that I updated it, and I think that Senator Clinton needs to go with that. And that way, that would counteract the wealth tax. I think you should charge current income as opposed to wealth. That way it will be easier to get a hold of said funds for multimillionaires without it being so tedious of them having to calculate their immense amount of wealth that some are not even aware of their worth. Like if we had to count every single chandelier, offshore assets, and boats and cars and everything else to calculate accurate net worth, like that shit is too time consuming to do every year on an annual basis. It's like, God forbid, if you get one extra darn on item, you got to darn on once again document that down. It's like, who is going to go through all that extensive process? You want to leave that on the multi-millionaires and the billionaires, and also who's vetting this information to see if all of that's going to be accurate? Like, what's going to contribute to what will be considered wealth? Because I'm trying to figure out how in the world is Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren is going to pass a wealth tax that calculates everything of their wealth, when it's like, okay, is we calculating just their income, and in addition, subtracting it from their liabilities, and we just calculating that, or is we calculating the properties? Because if we go into properties, then we also have to go what's inside the house that gives the whole overall values and stuff. Like we got to calculate portraits, we got to calculate, statues and all that that's worth thousands of dollars. We got to calculate every single darn on car. We got to calculate every single watch. The $30,000 watches, the $50,000 heels. Like, who is going to be the one going through all this vetting process in all these motherfuckers mansions, because most, you got Beyonce and Jay-Z, they got 6, 7 mansions. You got Oprah Winfrey, they got 6, 7 mansions. I'm trying to figure out who's going to go through all this darn detailing of these multi-million, and then we ain't even got to the real big wigs, honey. We ain't even got to the Jeff Bezos and the Mark Zuckerbergs and shit. Like, I'm finding this shit that's going to be difficult just on the millionaire level and the low billionaires. How the hell you going to calculate the accurate darn net worths of all of them, as far as calculating everything on an annual basis every single year? I think it's far easier to tax their current income than it would be their wealth. So I think that's what would separate Hillary Clinton if she go at it from that argument, as opposed to proposing a wealth tax. Next thing is free college education. Free college education for technical colleges only and trade schools. There should be a limited allotment of, let's say, $25,000. And then if you decide to go back for another thing, then your second allotment would be $12,500. If you go back for a second time. And then the third time, you own your own. I don't think, college should be perpetually free, where you just can continue to go and go and go and just be in there for 15, 20 years. I do believe that would be draining on the actual, dollars. So it's like, to make sure you stay consistent and focus on one career path or multiples, you are limited to this set amount. I think there should be a specific price price limit, and I would say for trade schools, give them a $25,000 limit. And then if they go back for a second trade, they will get a $12,500 credit that they can use the subtract from the amount of whatever they go out for. So if they go back for another trade that's $20,000, they have that $12,500 credit, and then they can still get the Pell Grant. That's $5,000. So that's $17,000 right there. $17,700. So that leaves them only owing $2,300, as opposed to having to take out a loan for $5,000 to $6,000 or $10,000. They only have to take out a loan for about $2,300. That's how that would work. I think if she goes at it from that point, she would do far better than trying to propose, outright, free college all the way to the university level. Because like I said, if you make universities free, darn on technical colleges might as well be obsolete. Like, what's the point of going to the technical college when you can just bypass that and go straight to the university? And if there's no option for money to come into these colleges at all, because I'm sure that if the government is flipping the bill, they will set so much limitations on the prices that they will charge out for these that they would give the schools, that the pay for the teachers would go down as well. Because once again, the minimum wage for teachers is K through 12. We don't think about our professors, our college campuses. We got to think that they need to have a decent wage as well. Whew. So that's my thoughts on that when it comes to the teacher pay. So we got teacher pay, we got minimum wage, Medicare for all. How would she tackle that one? I would say go by putting limitations on certain procedures. I would say, once again, while you're tackling the FDA and and all the organizations that is profiting off of the sickness, we need to finally push for drugs that have actually proven to put HIV, AIDS, and cancer in remission. We have had too many doctors been subpoenaed to go to court. They've actually had to testify and showcase paperwork proving that they legitimately cured people of these diseases. They've actually won their trial, and then shortly after, we don't hear nothing more from them. That shit needs to be exposed and put to an end right there. We need to put these doctors back in the forefront, and we need their treatments to be darn on marketed out to the masses. We need to stop becoming a country of treating the sick and start darn on being a country where we are now more healthier. So with that being said, if she goes at it that way, there wouldn't even need to be an argument about affordable health care, because a majority of the stuff where people have to use their health care for, um, we wouldn't no longer need it for it. So we don't no longer have to worry about high deductibles and all that. And just for general checkups and stuff, now by default, by her, getting them together and making it where we're now coming out with permanent, treatments for HIV and AIDS and Crohn's disease and cancer, all the other stuff will darn on fall by default. That's not even without. That's with not even having the universal health care. Now, if you want to add a universal health care, I think it should be an option where the person can buy, can sign up for it, but it shouldn't be the sole thing. So I do agree that we should eventually go have a universal health care, but it shouldn't be the monopoly, because it doesn't make sense. Because if you monopolize, health care by the government, it is relative of what you would find affordable, because what you think is affordable, a competitor could come out with something cheaper, and then what you thought was affordable then becomes expensive, because affordability is only in relative to the overall competition. But if you eliminate the competition, then it's like you can jack it up, and we wouldn't have no way to combat that. And that's where Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren has been proposing. They've been proposing, you know, over time we need to get rid of private insurance altogether. And they're not seeing that that would be very problematic, because then what is stopping Democrats or Republicans from raising something so high themselves? And now you don't have no option to go to competition. Now insurance is overall high everywhere, but at least there's a probability of finding something cheaper. We can darn gonna drive competition with multiple businesses, but if you make universal health care the sole thing, it makes it where there's no option for, you know, the guarantee that the prices of certain things will stay low. So I think there should be universal health care while still having private insurances. And the prices of universal health care would be at such an affordable cost that by default, all the competitors will have to market their stuff lower to compete with the government. And that would drive, the prices to go down across the board. If people want to, buy into the government healthcare option, they can. But if they find private insurance that offers more benefits for less, they should have that option as well. And that keeps the, affordability in check and allows people to still have their options, versus jargon trying to give them just one option with the penalty where you can drive the price up years down the road, and then it's nothing that they can do because now you done abolish darn on private insurance. So if she argue that point, I think she can easily outtake Elizabeth Warren on the universal healthcare issue, along with Bernie Sanders, because once again, this country is combined with Republicans and Democrats. And I feel like she would be the best one that would get the most Republicans, because we've seen it in the 2016 election. She will be the best that can get the Republicans to vote for her as well. And I feel if she argued that Medicare for all from that point, just the way that I proposed it, she would definitely get a lot of people on that, as opposed to Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Whew. A lot of talking, y'all. Let me get me some water. I'm trying my best for you, Hilary. But like I said, you will have a long uphill battle. You have to put in every last one of these things that I'm saying for you to even have a chance, honey. So the next thing is the black community. How would you get, because I don't think the black vote's going to be too easy for you this go round, honey. You got a lot of people who sadly vote based off of skin color, and because Kamala Harris is going in blackface, honey. I don't know, people are still identifying her as a black woman. You got people that's naturally looking at her for skin color. Then you got Cory Booker, who we know for a fact is a light-skinned black man. He's going for office. Then you got Andrew Yang, the first Asian president nominee. Then you got Pete Buttigieg, the first third on potential gay president. So you got to go up against a lot of things here. And ain't nobody looking for no moderate white woman or male unless you propose quite a strong bit of points. Because Amy Klobuchar is not looking good out there. Honey, Miss Gillibrand finally went back to working her position. Inslee, he's back working as mayor. Bill de Blasio, he's back in New York. So you got to come with some strong things. So what can you do to get the black vote? I feel like you need to take reparations from Marianne Williamson and actually times it by 10. And actually add $1 trillion. Once again, I got a plan for that as well in my I'm sorry y'all, I just got a notification. But like I said, she needs to take the reparations. And unlike Marianne Williamson, who's proposing 200 to 500 billion, I feel Hilary Clinton needs to be bold and come out and propose what I've offered is $6 trillion. And out of that $6 trillion, 5 trillion would be towards economic redevelopment. It would go towards banks, loans and grants towards black banks. It would go towards funding black neighborhoods, and that's not code for the hood. I'm tired of, every time we think of black neighborhoods, we always thinking about the poverty in the slums. We need money to build our own, neighborhood structures and stuff up. We need money to build up our own school systems, not HBCUs. HBCUs, contrary to popular belief, was not originally built by black people for black people. Well, it was built for black people, but not for the original purpose that what it was intended to be. So we need to build up our own private black charter schools, our own neighborhoods, our own banks. We need to fund our black farmers, in addition to the cash disbursement. And that will be the $1 trillion. And once again, I propose a DNA testing for full blacks to get 60% of the $1 trillion, biracials to get 30%, and people who are between 25 to 39% black to get 10%. So people between 25 to 39% African ancestry that can show that they have a parent, grandparent, and or great grandparent that is from here, they will be in a pool to split $100 billion. Biracial people who can show that they have a parent and grandparent from here can split $300 billion. And full black people who is over 60% African ancestry can show 3+ generations of black people from here in the United States. They will split $600 billion. That's my reparations plan in a nutshell. I go more into detail about how I come up with those numbers and break it down. But once again, full blacks need to get $600 billion, biracials $300 billion, 25-39% black African ancestry split $100 billion up, and then the $5 trillion would go towards overall economic redevelopment. It would go towards, our hospitals, our banks, our farmers, developing our neighborhoods. And by default, all of that stimulates the economy as well, because by default, that puts us more in an economic situation where we're able to give back into the, economy anyway. And then with the cash, that gives a more economic boom anyway, because we're going to be spending back into said economy. But if you give us also the option to build up our own economy within our system, because everybody else get a piece of the economy, but black folks, we hold the whole shit up, but we don't get no profit. So that's why I said 5 trillion should go towards economic redevelopment. So when we start spending money at stores, we will have cosmetologists, and we will have our black banks. We are able to put our money in more affordable black banks. We don't have to feel compelled to just go to BB&T. We don't need to go to Wells Fargo. We don't need to go to any white owned now you can still can if you want to, but we need to have our options to have more, black owned banks. And once again, just because a bank is black owned does not mean white people cannot go to the bank. I don't know why people think that. It just means that we are able to own the banks too and actually profit in the banking system as well as black people. And once again, that stimulates more into the economy because now we're pumping the money back into the economy, but we're also pumping it through our own communities. And by default, it perpetually increases where we are able to build more and more off of our own money. We're able to have more options for cosmetologists to get, grants, black estheticians to get grants to, build up their own buildings. That way we don't have to feel compelled to go to the Asian nail salon. You will now have more black, nail techs and estheticians that can, compete with the Asians. We're able to, have our own service stations so they won't be filled with, Middle Eastern people. You have people from the Middle Eastern come here and they're able to get a service station in black neighborhoods faster than black people who's been there all their lives. It's like when you go to the hood, you got 20 some darn on churches that ain't doing nothing for the community. Maybe it's 2 to 3 churches at best that might give out some food and they might assist with a light bill here and there, but all the other 17 churches ain't doing nothing but bringing down the economic value of those predominantly black rural areas. And then the service stations, you got all of them on either Asian or darn on Middle Eastern. Not one black darn on service station. We need to put a change to that as well. And that's where the economic portion of reparations will come in for black people. So $5 trillion for that. And then it does not need to be all in one whop. I propose that the $5 trillion should be dispersed over a course of 10 years. And the cash reparations should be immediately dispersed. So you don't need to do no, years upon years for reparations, because if we got it like that where we can propose universal income, which would cause $3 trillion perpetually every single year. So this is the argument for people who says that, well, if reparations to the tune of trillions of dollars is too expensive. Well, nobody says universal basic income is too expensive, and that's $3 trillion perpetually. But reparations is a one-time payout of $6 trillion. So universal basic income is equivalent to reparations just 2 years in. So if we can afford universal basic income, which what Ancient Yang is proposing, and if we can afford, bonds for everybody, which is what Cory Booker is proposing. Hello? Hello? I hated that I no longer have my caller ID, y'all. I finally got rid of my cable, and my number no longer shows up. I'm gonna have to get me a whole new phone. If y'all new here, I never get through a video where I don't have a phone call, a knock at the door, a knock at the window. So that's just how it is over here. But back to the argument at hand. Like I said, we was talking about reparations, and see, I hate when it throws off my train of thought. But meanwhile, I got a whole video that goes into that, and it seems like I'm just reiterating everything I've said in that video. But I break down about the $5 trillion in reparations in great detail, how it goes over a course of 10 years. The $1 trillion need to be paid out immediately. And like I said, if we can afford to come out with baby bonds, that's where I was at. That's $1 trillion a year that Cory Booker is proposing. We definitely can come up with a way to pay out that reparations immediately towards black descendants. And it will still take time to formulate anyway, so it's not like you're paying it upon the first year in office. Like, we still would have to come up with a DNA testing company and a time frame for everybody to get their test and genealogy and stuff together, and then we will come out with a further date to actually disperse the funds all in one whop. So it's not like you have to disperse it upon the first day of becoming president. You still have to have several other stuff set up to verify people. So we're not mixing in, first, second generation West Indians and, first generation Africans with Black Americans. Because what I'm seeing is a lot of people who are just Black in general is being classified as African American. I see a lot of Africans being classified as African American. I'm seeing a lot of West Indians who are raised here who have immediate ties to the island classified as African Americans, as if they descend from American chasttel slavery, and that is false. Another thing is, what separates my plan from ADOS is it should not be limited to, repentance for slavery, because number one, not all of us were slaves per se. Some of us do descend from freemen, especially if you're from somewhere in North Carolina. It can get very, convoluted, because some of us were actually indentured servants. Some of us were actually fully free. Some of us was actually owners ourselves, but we then were subject still to racism and supremacy. So reparations should be a full payout for all the atrocities that we have to still suffer to this day. We need to also focus it on redlining. That still happens to this day. We need to focus it on police brutality. That still happens to this day. And I know some of y'all saying, well, there's individual payouts. Yeah, that's on a case-by-case basis that only about 1 to 2% of Black people win. What about all the thousands of people who, did not win their cases, who actually died in prison being, on drug charges, and especially if they didn't have the drugs to begin with? We've seen dash cam footage of police officers putting crack cocaine on Black people, and nothing is done about this. Nothing is, said about this doggone corruption. We've seen police officers steal prescription drugs out of doggone Black people houses, once again on body cam. What's the point of these body cams if, if they're being tried by people that they're friends with? Which leads me to another thing. Not only do we need economic reparations to the tune of $5 trillion and a cash payout of $1 trillion, but we also need a special prosecution in place for doggone corrupt officers. Because how in the hell do we expect police officers to be able to be tried and convicted by citizens when there is clear corruption, where a magistrate and a DA can easily give a police officer proprietary information such as the juror's potential address? And don't think that shit does not happen. We've seen situations where people have testified and now all of a sudden they down and came up dead, and you're trying to say that this person was a drug dealer and the people that killed them was behind some weed, but they traveled from Louisiana all the way to Texas, when Louisiana actually have marijuana law, are actually a little bit laissez-faire on marijuana. So was the person trafficking marijuana to the tune of thousands of pounds of marijuana? Because I'm trying to figure out, ain't nobody going through the extent of traveling across state lines to shoot somebody because they was cheated $20 on some weed. I'm trying to figure out, like, was this a trafficking thing going wrong? And we know Black people do not lead in trafficking drugs. The drugs are, that are trafficked are, from Colombia, from Asia. It ain't coming from the darn on motherland. And it's speaking of the motherland, hell, you darn gonna sending everybody back from the motherland. You sending the West Indians back. So that's a whole nother situation within itself that we're going to get into. But off of the prosecution, we need a special prosecution in place. Also, we need a law passed where if officers and other law enforcement are caught with, violating the law, Since you enforce the law and you are aware of the law more than anything, and you're in a position of power where you can use your position to manipulate and get away from being tried in the law, from, jury intimidation, from, tampering with evidence, from the blue wall of silence, which has been established, from the FBI reporting that there has been an infiltration of white nationalists in law enforcement. So due to all this clear level of corruption, there's more than enough cause to propose a special prosecution. And then everybody who is found guilty of their crimes should serve double their time that a citizen will serve. So if you are sentenced to 25 years of life as a citizen, a police officer should be sentenced to no less than 50 years. You should serve double the time. If you're in a place where you're supposed to know the law and you're supposed to enforce the law and you are actually going against the law, you should serve twice the amount of time. And you should be darn on tried by special darn on prosecutions that cannot be swayed. And that would take on the blue wall of silence, which affects black people more than any other race of people in the world. But you also have innocent white people, you have innocent Native Americans, you have innocent Hispanics who are also victims of police brutality as well. So it will affect everybody, and that we will have a special prosecution. But that will be another point under your belt to redeem yourself, Hilary Clinton, from black people. Once again, reparations, economic stability, and special prosecution. That's 3 points right there. Those 3 things alone can outdo any proposals of a motherfucking 10-point plan that darn gone Donald Trump is darn gone so-called claiming that he got for black people. I keep hearing people talking about Donald Trump got a 10-point plan that he's going to eventually come out with. Well, he's the president right now, and we still haven't seen shit. Now, I ain't saying that he has to release it all right now. He has to still get us to vote for him. But if we want to take him seriously on this 10-point plan, how come he can't at least implement one part of the 10-point plan and say, well, if I was given a chance to be president, I can then go through trying to get the other 9 points across. He haven't even done that. He haven't even tested the waters to even see if a 10-point plan is viable, because just like everything else he's been saying, it mounts up the bullshit. This is the same candidate that ran with holding the LGBTQ flag, and he's been going and tossing everything backwards for the LGBTQ community. This is a person who said he was going to be good for poor white people in the United States. Not necessarily poor white people, but his fan base is majority low-income white people in rural areas. And look how he was about to take them all off their food stamps and give them darn on boxes and shit. I'll wait. People still having to work 2 jobs. 21 states out of 50 are still paying $7.25 minimum wage, where you're qualified for food stamps even though you work full time. There's a reason why a majority of people on food stamps are in the working poor and still qualify for food stamps, because in 21 states, you are making only $7.25 an hour. Versus if you raise the minimum wage up to $12 an hour, even if you're working only 30 hours a week, you're still making more than what you was before, and you will have that extra time to spend with your children and your family members. If you're working full time, you're in a situation where you're now self-sufficient, and you don't have to rely much on government assistance anymore. So once again, that goes to raising the minimum wage, reparations, which leads to economic stability, special prosecution, setting price limits on certain medications. There should not be ever a chance where pharmaceutical companies can charge somebody $1,400 for diabetic medication. We should set price limits on medications such as for people who suffer from diabetes and cancer and everything else, while also getting to the root causes of why these diseases are running rampant in the first place, and coming out with these alleged cures. Once again, I ain't trying to get my video flagged, but come out with the alleged cures that so many doctors have gone to court and shown that they've actually have gotten people in remission of their cancer and they AIDS and everything else. Okay, last few things Hillary Clinton can do to secure her spot as presidential nominee is, and I know this video is long and lengthy, but like I said, she's going up against a lot of people, presenting, tremendous plans. So this video has to be lengthy to show in great detail all the stuff that she would have to do, because she cannot just go in on her name alone. So the next thing she would have to do, we done already tackled, marginal tax over wealth tax. We done tackled reparations, economic stability, police brutality and injustice. And that goes beyond black people. That's for white people, Native American, Hispanic, and all of that. We done tackled about price gouging within the pharmaceutical industry, which another thing that Hillary Clinton has a long-standing history of actually going after the pharmaceutical industry. So she will already be, genuine. That does not need any convincing. She's also been consistent on teachers for decades of her career. So she got that going for her as well. So I would think the last things that she needs to do to undeniably secure the nomination would be, let me see. I think that's about it at this time. I can't think of nothing else undeniably that she needs. If I come up, I think I was in this right here. Because we've already tackled a lot as it is. Because once again, police brutality, minimum wage, pay inequality, health, tackling the industry that keeps us sick in the first place, coming out with the cures for HIV. Now, because once again, now I think that will automatically secure it right there. If she darn on comes out with a proposal where she backs people who actually have shown proof to get rid of AIDS, HIV, I think that's enough right there for her to win the nomination. I mean, can you think about it? A president that finally busts the FDA and then pushes for, the cure or, alleged cure for HIV and cancer. Those two things alone. And then reparations would just make it where 100% of black people would vote for her right there. I mean, I can't think of it right there. And then to top it off with DACA, just speed up the process where DACA recipients should automatically be expedited to the top of the immigration line to do the citizenship test. They've been here all their lives. They speak the language. They know the American culture more than the Hispanic origins of which they came from. Most DACA people don't even speak Spanish, ironically. So it shouldn't be hard for them to pass the test. And we should make it where when it comes to the cost of taking a citizenship test, just set up a payment system where they get it deducted out of their work. So give them their workers, their cards and all of that. And when they file their taxes, just take out the necessary amount of money out of their taxes until the debt is owed. And then they become full naturalized citizens of the United States. And that process should not take no more than a year. So they should be immediately expedited to the first of the line. And DACA should be expanded to Africans and West Indians as well. I'm tired of every time we think of DACA, we think of Mexican children, and then followed by Colombian, Venezuelan, and other Hispanics. And that should also be explicitly noted that Africans and West Indians should fall under that DACA status as well. I'm so sick and tired of every time we talk about DACA, we speak it in Spanish, but we don't speak it no Yoruba, we don't speak it no La Francais, we do not hear no darn West Indian patois. We need to change that narrative up as well. And I think if Hillary Clinton darn express it just like that, she will win that vote all the way over. She would definitely win that all the way over on immigration reform. Put DACA to the first of the line. Make them have their citizenship test. Make it where it's within a year's time frame. And then any fees associated with that, it can get deducted from their from the money that they're working to make. That way, They're still contributing to society. They're no longer being in fear of having to get reported by ICE. That way, they no longer have to, hide in the shadows and, leading to poverty and thus leading to the increased chance of crimes because you can't feel comfortable going to college or getting a well stable job. So by default, now you become a scavenger and having to, do petty crimes and stuff to survive in a country because you was brought here by no way of your own fault. While simultaneously punishing people who are habitual offenders, because I don't think we should be completely laissez-faire and opening up borders and decriminalizing people who come here who know what they're doing. So at the same time, I do feel like there should be some punishments made for people who are caught coming here numerous times. I do believe that there should be prison time served in our prison and not just sending them back because it seems like when we send them back, they always find their way back over here. So maybe if we start serving them some prison time, and also we need to make a change to the actual if you have a baby born here, that automatically guarantees you some status. The baby automatically becomes an American citizen. And I feel like if we just make it easier for people to be able to come here through the checkpoints without being feared of being detained and being, having to face so much xenophobia, we won't have a rise of all these Hispanic children being born by Americans and, they getting with Americans and they get an anchor baby. And now you're on food stamps by way of the baby because the baby is American citizen. So for people who is talking about we got a lot of illegal aliens on government assistance, it's not necessarily the person that came here that is on government assistance. It's the child that gets the government assistance because the way the laws are set up, if the baby is born on American soil, they're automatically an American citizen. So the mother gets the food stamps by way of the baby. And we are perpetuating and encouraging that even more by trying to decriminalize the border instead of making it where we're making it easier for them to become naturalized citizens, via the paperwork process and, all of that. I feel like we should make it easier for the people who are coming here and trying to do it the right way. While for the people who are still coming in here on their bullshit and, trafficking drugs, rapists and terrorists and all of that, we should actually oppose actual harsh penalties. I shouldn't be reading reports of 11,000 Hispanics were forced to be let go due to ICE laws, and some of them were actually convicted killers and criminals. I ain't talking about innocent mothers who didn't have a record or anything. I'm talking about the way the laws are written up on immigration reform. We're able to allow killers to be released into because they ain't being released into high dollar white neighborhoods. They gonna get released into our neighborhoods, and then it drives our neighborhoods down more, and then we get negatively stereotyped by Hispanic actions who are coming up here fucking shit up. So we should make it where those Hispanics are subject to harsh prison times, and thus that would decrease them from coming through anyway. So instead of wasting $5 billion on a vanity wall, only thing we need to do is propose harsher punishments, and that would deter them. A wall ain't going to deter them. A wall is just a temporary hindrance. But if you actually oppose harsh punishments on people who are caught here and violating laws, that would be the hindrance, and that would be a lot more cheaper. That would be $5 billion. Actually, the wall really costs $25 billion. So instead of $25 billion on a wall, just as a physical barrier, you don't need a wall. Notice that Canada doesn't need a wall, and you don't see too many people trying to go up into Canada too tough because Canada actually have those stiff punishments. We should do just like our brother nation, and if we come up with our similar stiff punishments, we're able to get immigration under control at a cheaper cost. And once again, this is not to attack everybody. Like I said, for DACA, they need to be expedited to the first of the immigration line to become naturalized citizens. And the other ones, they can be secondary and have their paperwork and stuff in process as well for the ones who are coming through the right way. That way we separate the bad illegals from the immigrants who are coming here to actually pursue the, you know, the American dream, to pursue the happiness, or seek asylum. So that's it on that. I feel if she proposes it from that, she'll win the immigration argument as well. So that is everything in a nutshell that Senator Hillary Clinton should do and propose if she wants to even have a chance at darn on coming in and knocking out over 20 darn on Democratic nominees and going up against Donald Trump. If you want to win the Republicans over from Donald Trump while simultaneously winning over the progressives, I feel that everything I propose will darn on win the majority of the people over. So what are y'all thoughts on all of that? I know that was very long. I'm going to try my best to time stamp it. Give me a day from this video uploading and I will have everything time stamped down below. Although I went over some things twice, so that would be hard to time stamp, but I still try. But if y'all have any additional suggestions for Hillary Clinton, for y'all that want her in there, because I know some of y'all, this is going to go in one ear and out the other. Y'all like, no, we don't care for that bitch to be in there, no way. We don't trust her ass, and that's understandable. Like I said, Hillary, you got a lot to do to earn some people back. But I think if you actually impose what I said in this video, you would secure the vote. Because I can't see nobody, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Progressive, I can't see nobody denying you the vote if you come out with a way where you're actually coming out with a proposal to tackle the blue wall of silence, racial inequality, immigration reform, separating the bad immigrants from the good ones, making sure all immigrants are being treated fairly, including the Africans and the West Indian ones. And that way you have the naturalized Africans, not to be confused with Black Americans, aka African Americans, ADOS. Ooh, excuse me, y'all. Ooh, I'm out of breath, but not to confuse us all as one, you know, we are all racially black, but we have our different ethnic groups. We have Africans, we have Black Americans, aka ADOS, and then you have our West Indians. And our West Indian brothers, you know, the Haitians that got turned around and deported back to the motherland, but we having Hispanics, you know, catered to with their languages, and they're not being sent back in astronomical numbers except by way of Trump. We need to make it fair across the board for everybody. So we need to make it where our West Indian people are treated where they are able to come here and go through the channels of becoming citizens as well. She phrased it like that, I guarantee you she has the vote. She talking about coming out with a way to push for the cure for cancer and get rid of all these treatments for cancer instead, and the treatments for HIV, instead of charging people $2,000 for what's that pill called that I seen? I seen my girl, I seen one of my people on YouTube talk about this darn on HIV pill where the cost can cause up to 2,000 motherfucking dollars. But meanwhile, there's actually been a verified treatment to get rid of HIV. So instead of treating the problem for $2,000 a pill, charging the hell out of your insurance company or charging the hell out of the government, because even with universal health care, like we still would have to have some limits onto that shit. Like we just going to put our country perpetually in debt by companies who are making a pill to treat the problem, and it costs them only 20 cents to make the pill, but then they get to charge $2,000 per set of pills. Really? It costs you for the whole bottle of pill maybe $2 to make the pills, but then you charge $2,000. And it's not curing the disease, it's only treatment. Versus if she comes out with a way where she's able to get the cures out there, alleged cures, but we know that they're real. That it's been proven in a court of law. And y'all know I have to have my fans, y'all, and it makes my nose run every darn on time. But that's it, y'all. I feel if she come out with all that, she would have the nomination hands down. But y'all leave y'all additional thoughts down below. Feel free to like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon with more videos. Ooh, y'all know We're gonna have to find a way for me to darn gonna cool myself down. I don't know if I'm gonna just have to just, suck it up with the light bill and just start using the AC because these fans, I'm sick and tired of my eyes becoming watery and my nose becoming stuff in this video. It make me look like I'm crying on camera when it be me just trying to. Y'all know how it is in the South. Shoot, darn on. And this is what I hate about fall in the darn on South. Darn on nighttime got to have the heat on, and then in the daytime got to have the AC on. It's 75 degrees in the daytime, and then at nighttime it wants to get 40 degrees. I'm so sick of this darn on bipolar ass shit. But anyways, y'all leave y'all thoughts down below, and I'll see y'all soon. Mwah.